I'm Juliana. I'm here with my co-host, Derek.
Yo.
Yeah, and we have a great guest today, and I'm very excited about this conversation. We have Aaron Spivak, the co-founder of Hush Blankets. Welcome, Aaron. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much history to your story that I have to figure out where to start. But first, just let me share a bit of info about you to the audience in case they don't know you yet. Aaron is a Canadian serial entrepreneur. He co-founded Revitalize when he was just 18 years old. And now he is the co-founder of Hush Blankets, a company that he co-founded together with Lior Ohayon. And they are really dominating the sleep industry. So, first question for you that I'm trying to ask everyone: how did you get into e-commerce, and how did you get into e-commerce when you were 18?
It's a good question. I mean, when I was 18, so when we started, Revitasize was all about our brick and mortar store. We had one location in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and people would come and we'd sell the smoothies and the acai bowls. It was all healthy food. And as we started to expand, I started to realize that expanding from brick and mortar is expensive, right? You need to take all the money you've earned in the last few years and then pour it into a physical location, and then build that location, and then eventually market it. And a good brick and mortar store will get its money back within 3 to 5 years. And as a young 18-year-old, I'm like, that's way too long. Like I want to move way faster. So when I met Lior a few years later, and he was in the software side of e-commerce, I started to realize that instead of to enter a new neighborhood in brick and mortar, you need to open in that new neighborhood. You need to actually have a flagship location and do all that. But to expand with e-commerce, you essentially just need to expose yourself digitally to that neighborhood, and then you can eventually facilitate through delivery and all these different types of distribution. So that's kind of what sparked my interest with e-commerce. How at the time, how easy it made me feel it would be, and then kind of just snowballed from there.
That's crazy. And like, you went from healthy food and very mindful type of stuff to a very mindful type of industry, also the sleep industry, right? But it's such a big switch from food and healthy and drinks and whatever to blankets. So you are selling the most popular weighted blanket in Canada, right? And probably more in more regions in America at the moment. You're very popular in Romania too. But tell me why blankets, and how did you get to this product? And tell us a bit about the product and how you got to sell blankets.
Yeah, so my partner Lior, it was before we even met, he was volunteering at a camp for children with special needs, all different kinds of special needs, and they had this stimulation room. And actually, a lot of organizations have a stimulation room. A lot of public schools actually in Toronto have a stimulation room, and it's a room where kids can go and there's a bunch of toys and things. They can relax, they can take a nap. And way back, they had this kind of like weighted pad, and he felt himself like constantly hiding in this room and using this like pad to like go to sleep. And then years later, when we became friends, we realized that that pad was never actually made for adults. They always made these weighted devices for children. They never made it for adults, but adults are anxious too, and we have a hard time sleeping as well. So we were kind of left out. And then we actually did a little bit of research and realized that there were some brands out there that have been selling adult weighted blankets. And so we're like, oh, well, problem solved. We'll order one for ourselves because we were selfish. We just wanted it for me. And once they arrived, we realized that they were just horrible. They're these big weighted bean bags, and they would sound like a rain stick at night, and you'd sleep and all the weight would be on your shoulder and none would be on your legs. And we were so frustrated that we were just like, can't be that hard. We got to make one that actually works. And then, that's kind of that inspiration that started it. And then we started, dissecting and designing and diving into the materials and really developing a product that would work for me and for us. And then we knew if it met our standard, that hopefully it would meet, the masses standard.
Aside from that fulfilling your own need, which is always a great way to start a business and where most businesses stem from. Did you do any market research with like strangers saying, would you buy a weighted blanket? Like, did you know the size of this market and how big it could be? Did you just kind of guess at it, have a feeling about based on your own instincts?
It's a good question, actually. So as we started our research, there was a Kickstarter that just started in the US, and it was for one of our competitors. It ended up being one of the largest Kickstarters of all time. This guy was on like CNN breaking news at the table speaking
Breaking
about
news, a
his
blanket.
product. Yeah, and it was insane, and you know the hype around it was nuts, and we were just like, I'm just going to order one from this guy because he's obviously figured it out. But what we later realized was the demand was there, but he was actually just a really good marketer. He was still selling that same product we had a problem with in our early stages, and he's got a long list of products. So he's really good at creating hype, and then he sells a product and he moves on to the next thing. So what we realized was that he might have not seen the potential that we did. Because a lot of these people who were buying the weighted blanket from him specifically, they actually had a pain, right? They wanted to improve a pain in their life. And for him, it was more of just like, he wanted to sell as many blankets as possible. So we kind of came and said, maybe we can actually take care of this problem for our people. And that's when we had this blanket and we said, okay, how can we make it better? But we knew the demand was there because we saw what he did, and it was insane.
Yeah. So, all right. So here are the takeaways from this. This is somebody else is validating the market for you, which can sometimes be a good thing or a bad thing, because you are first thinking, well, they validated the market. They've also conquered the market. No reason to enter. Right. But the second thing was that you noticed the differentiation factor in how you would come at it, which is product differentiation to somebody that might just be doing pass-through business and some marketing differentiation. And then stemming from there, you know, this goes directly into everything that Juliana preaches, which is being retention focused and caring about the consumer. And you said we can build a product that people really love and become, you know, a digitally native vertical brand around this product and this experience. And that person doesn't see that. That person just sees cost of customer acquisition, lifetime value, make a buck, and then I'm done. And so I think all of those things combined are where opportunity really lies for success and growth. And so I think you were in the, you know, a little bit of right place, right time, of course, but you had to have the dedication and the skills to notice and invest. What was the initial investment like? I mean, obviously you had to do a lot of product research. How many blankets did you go through to get this right?
Yeah, I mean, so we're like you said, we're huge believers. So me personally is in innovation through iteration, right? I think it's a lot harder to invent something from scratch. You know, a lot of people come to me and they're like, you didn't invent weighted blankets. And I'm like, well, I'd probably be dead because they've been around for almost 100 years. And a lot of products are actually just one or two innovations away from actually working for the general public. So when we saw what was available, and then still today, I mean, you can go on Amazon and find a blanket for $50. And then you can go on our website and you can see the differences. Those products that were out there when we first started are still there, but we knew we can iterate into a niche that solved the real problem. But yeah, I mean, when we started, we didn't have a lot of working capital. So Lior and I said, you know what, why don't we start with pre-orders? And we created a website, you know, simple Shopify website overnight, spent like, you know, old school, typical story. We spent like 8 hours all night. We built this website, photoshopping photos, did this whole thing. And we threw it up. And we said, you know, we're going to make any sales. Obviously, first day you make no sales, and we're like, we need to drive traffic. And one thing that we noticed that was really exciting, and if I were to, you know, restart a brand all over today, and if I had to recommend it, I would say, you know, if there's search for what you're selling, whether it be on Google or Bing or whatever your main search tool is, then there's already people looking to buy your product. They just don't know about you yet because you're not out there. So we knew, okay, we need some sort of validation, because when you start a brand, you put all these hours in and no one's buying your stuff. It kind of gets depressing. So we needed that 1 or 2 Shopify notifications that we made a sale. So we said, if we can bid on our search terms, and our search terms at the time were like weighted blanket, you know, it had hundreds of thousands of searches a month in Canada. We knew if we could just get a portion of those searches and if our website was any bit good, we can validate this. And we did that. We had no product yet. And once we launched, I think it was like on day 2 or 3, we made our first sale, and then it kind of just started, third sale, fourth sale, fifth sale. Next thing you know, we have like 20 sales in a week, and that gave us the confidence to go. I had, my other business at the time, Lior had his business at the time. Like, okay, let's liquidate all of those and make our first PO. And it was like 70 or 80,000. We put all our eggs in one basket because we had those 20 sales that made us feel good and give us the motivation to, we have to fulfill these orders, right? We have 20 people who are waiting on us. So that's where we started, and we kind of just snowballed from there. I mean, the sales never really stopped. And then, that's when you become a marketer and you start figuring out what levers to pull and do all that fun stuff.
That's crazy. When I met you guys, I met you because I found you on YouTube, right? So
Nice.
I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I think the way, I don't know how I got to the pitch that you guys did in Dragon's Den, and when you got that investment. And for people that don't know, Dragon Den is like a Shark Tank type of show. So I saw that video when you had all the jury dressed up in your blankets and sit and sleep in them. And I knew back then, I was like, I have to talk to these people and see, what they're doing, because it was incredible. So I would like, if you, because we're here in the beginning of your history with Hush Blanket, tell us, how, because there's a lot of people that want to go for investment, right? And ask for investment. How did you go there in the show and ask for them? And I know you won it because you really, really killed the whole pitch. So just tell us more about how you did that. How was the experience?
Yeah, it was quite funny, actually. I was following one of the dragons on Instagram, and she posted a story, like swipe up to submit a form to audition. And I was just like sitting on my couch one day, and I was like, all right, I'm just like typing out this form on my phone, and a month or two goes by, we get an email saying, hey, like, you've been invited for an in-person audition. So, we grew up watching this show. I mean, every entrepreneur has been watching Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, and it's like an inspiration for all of us. So we were completely unprepared. We drive to this audition. It's in a random school somewhere. The producer is sitting there. We forgot some of our blankets, so we only brought some of them. We had no pitch set. We had no evaluation concrete. We walk in. It's us, and I think it was 1 or 2 other people. And we're like, wow, because we went. There's the Toronto one, which is the main, thousands of people go. But we went to some random one, far away, because we didn't want the competition. And we sit there and we watch this other gentleman go. And I mean, I feel terrible, but his idea was a ladder that doesn't fall, right? So it has these 2 things on the side, and if you tilt, it'll catch itself. And I think he had someone in his family get severely injured from a ladder falling. So he invented this amazing product. The only issue was when he actually demonstrated it, it fell. It was an older guy. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So, and then we went. So, our pitch was so bad. It wasn't that bad because we didn't get injured. So we had, we just kind of threw the blankets on the producer. We're like, how do you feel? And she's like, we feel pretty good. And we're like, exactly. So we left thinking, no way we're getting a call back. And then I guess they had to choose one of the people who were there. So they chose us. We were young. I mean, we had some good energy, but everything was off the wall. And then the next one was the pitch for the show. So you essentially just sit in this room, and they're like, you're up, and then they put the mic on you and everything.
Were you a bit more polished the second time?
Yeah, they made us send them our pitch, and in fact, they adjusted our evaluation. It's really about TV, right? It's not about the investment. In fact, we never actually ended up taking the investment. We did on the show though. So it's really, really about TV and creating that, that drama behind it. And they were really nice enough to promote our give back program, which is something we've always done, but we just don't tell people about it because deep down we're convinced people don't care. So we just kind of always did it, and they highlighted it. And essentially once it aired, it almost doubled our business overnight, right? It really, we really were able to connect with Canadians, and it really validated who we are and what we're about. So it was really cool.
2 things here on this. The first thing is, you got to tell us about the Give Back program. And I want to know why you think people don't care, because I've seen cause marketing have pretty good impacts on actual top line revenue for businesses.
That's actually a good point. So, I mean, I don't want to say that nobody cares, but I don't think it's a massive
You do it for you,
needle
not
that.
for,
Yeah, I don't
not.
think it's a massive needle that moves. I mean, we donate 1 in 10 blankets that we sell, and then we donate 1 of 5 of the children's blankets that we sell. So like we donate almost $1 million worth of blankets a year
Wow.
to thousands of charities across the city. And I mean, we've gotten a lot of good things. We've got a partnership with Desjardins, and it's been great. But we notice a lot with like our particular product is not like it's not like if I were to have like a really nice t-shirt brand and then like we donate a portion and you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy my t-shirt from them because they actually have a social cause. Our product is very like, it's more of like a problem solution type product. So it is a luxury item. It's expensive. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to buy one of those because I want to be fancy or bougie or whatever. It's more like I'm going to buy one of those because I need a better sleep and I want to feel better. And I don't really like the way things are going for me right now. And I need to change. So for us, a lot of our sales come from that pain. It comes from the pain that either me, myself, or somebody I love is not at 100%, whether it's with their own personal life, whether it's for their sleep, whether it's their anxiety, whatever that pain is. And it's worked for me, so I'll buy it for them, or nothing else is working for me. I'm going to buy it for me. And it just so happens that we donate, so you kind of, you feel good. And maybe there's a little bit less buyer remorse, but I don't think it's a main needle for us.
All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and that is incredible that you're donating so much. My second question is escaping me. It was about throwing the blanket on the producer. You have a product that is kind of like, I don't know if I want this, but if you put it on me, I might like actually really love it, right? It's like I need to try it before I buy it kind of thing. And you said you come from a brick and mortar background of sorts. So how do you get this on people and convince them to buy it, when we're selling through e-commerce primarily?
That's a great question. I mean, it's exactly what it is. The second you feel that the blanket come on you, you're just like, you have this like, feeling, right?
Worth every penny.
Everything just comes out of you. You're just like, wow, I can't believe this is real life. So we have a 100-night trial, right? So we don't label it as try before you buy because we've tested that, and there's some stats about people who just love to try things. But there is a security behind the fact that, if you think it might work for you and you're not entirely sure, go online, you have 100 nights to sleep with it. We've got customers that after 5 days message us and say like, hey, I want to refund it. Just be like, you have 95 more nights. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, wow, I'm so happy you told me to keep it. Like, get used to it, right? So, and we did that for a reason. It's, keep trying the product. It does take time to get used to. I mean, I remember our first sample of the one that we run now, when I received it, I was like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. But then I kind of just kept sleeping with it, and I was like, wow, this is really working for me. So it is an expensive ticket, and because like we're not brick and mortar and you can't just like put it on you, we have to find a way to get it in your home, in your bed for X amount of nights, kind of risk free, right? So we've generated that, and we've got a lot of
anxiety behind buying this product. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to be reducing anxiety, but like right before I hit that buy now button, I'm like, do I really want to spend $200 on a blanket? Am I crazy? Like, but then like you say, once it's on you, and I'm thinking about buying one right now. I'm not even kidding. So I think the throw blanket is perfect for our downstairs couch area.
So on that note, like we actually cause a little bit of anxiety because we're like the throw has been sold out for 6 months, right? So,
oh man,
so everyone's like, I ordered this thing 2 months ago. Like, where is it? And they're like, you're making me more anxious than I was before. But it'll be back in stock in February, which is really soon. But yeah, like there's that's kind of been our little circle of like selling out and causing anxiety and trying to solve it at the same time. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I have a question, Aaron. We were talking about brick and mortar, and the reason why I named this episode "Dear Manager Mark, Are You Reading Forbes?" is because I saw on LinkedIn that you used to work at Sport Check, right?
Yeah, that was my first job when I was 16.
Yes. So let's see if Manager Mark watches or listens to this. How much so just for people that don't know, I have to share the LinkedIn post right here in the chat because I have it ready, because I really started liking you a lot after this, because I related, more than I used to, because I related with your story a lot. I've been told so many times, you cannot do this, you're not good for this is not going to happen for you. So when reading, I think you inspired a lot of people that felt just like you, and gave them a push. So tell us, how did you feel when you started selling the blanket in that store? But also, how did you feel back then? And did that influence the way you guys are really operating in the e-commerce world right now?
Like, definitely. I was entrepreneurial when I was really younger. I was always selling like hats. I was a lemonade stand kid. I was always on the corner trying to, I bought stuff at the garage sale and flipped it on Kijiji or eBay and stuff. So I was always very like consumer centric, right? Like I was always dealing with the buyer, and when I dealt with the buyer, I would never be rude to the buyer. It doesn't make any sense, right? For me, it's always like, we're bartering. I'm trading something that you deem more valuable than the money, and you're giving me money which I deem more valuable than this product, and we're just trading. And I never believed in being rude or having that be a negative transaction. It should never be a negative transaction. We should both be happy because we're trading value. And then when I got my first job and I was in this environment, and it was almost like we hate the customer from this specific manager, because growing up, it was my favorite store. When I come in and it was different locations and stuff, the people were so warming and it was so fun, and we would talk sports and I would buy all my sports stuff, and everything was so, nice about it. And then when I got this one manager, when I finally got the job at the place that I love, he was unfortunately a little bit miserable and started, showing me the dark side of dealing with people. And, I would see his employees would be very, very angry at each other. And guys there was no coalition between us. It was so, we're only chasing revenue. We're only chasing sales, and the words, you can't do it, not possible, you don't know what you're doing, was just like a constant thing. And I'm coming from a background of, why, like, there's nothing here I can do that will make this better. And then eventually when I quit, and if you read the LinkedIn post, he was like, you'll never be a manager. And eventually when we started our own business, when I was only 18, 19, I made a commitment that I'll never treat anybody like that. And so till this day, with Hush, I think, it's been 3 years. We've had like 1 or 2 people leave us, and they left us for, different jobs. They moved up, they promoted themselves. With Revitalize, we've had staff, it's been 7 years. We've had staff for 7 years already. And the biggest thing is that I truly don't believe that any of us is better or smarter than the next person. I think that we're all the same. We just have different experiences, and we grew up differently and different privileges and stuff. Like, I don't think that we should put anyone down or treat people differently based on things they didn't control. Like, the way I grew up and the way you grew up are completely different. So I have a different experience, you have a different experience, but I can't pin that against you. It's not your fault. So, for us, it's really about being transparent and allowing people to be what they're really good at. I was really good at selling hockey equipment. I played hockey my whole life. It was easy for me. I was a professional at it, specifically to the people who came in and knew nothing. Instead, he put me on skis because he's like, you're going to fail at skis, so go do skis. Right. And it was like,
man,
wow.
Such a good story. And I agree completely about treating your team.
It's an amazing story. Trust me, I shared your post with a lot of people like me, underdogs, and we all just, felt that thing, because all of us, I think that, been through these experiences with people putting us down constantly. One day, that little dude is going to raise up and do something. So yeah, very inspiring. And in general, all that I see from you on social media is very positive and very, I think a lot of people look up to you in terms of, finding a bit of, nice push to do things, especially given that you started so young. So I would like to talk, because you're so young, I think you guys been 2 years in a row in Forbes 30 under 30, right?
No, this was our first, I think
this is the first time.
Twice. Yeah, first time, yeah.
So how, tell us, how did you get there? How did you feel? Because I was so happy when I read that article about it.
Good question. I don't know how we got there. I don't know. We got a call a few months before saying that we made we made a short list of like 3,000 people, and they're only going to choose 3,000 for our category. Or sorry, 30 out of 3,000 for our categories. We had a very small percentage of winning. So they asked us a few questions, just making sure that the information that they read on the internet is true, and our age is true, and where we're at as a business is true. And then they're just like, well, good luck. We'll announce it on the day of, and that's when you'll find out. So we thought that there was a chance. There was a small chance, but honestly, looking at the people who've made it in the past, I was like, I don't really think so. But we woke up that morning. In fact, actually, I didn't even see it. I don't check Forbes every day, and so I just got a bunch of messages, and I was like, oh, we made it. This is cool, but yeah, and I don't want to sit here and say it's life changing. So I don't think it's something that everyone should build their whole life around achieving. But it's definitely cool for the day, and you get to put it in your LinkedIn bio, and people think you're awesome, and that's about it.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
And then back to work.
And then now you actually have more fuel on the fire. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, and congrats. A very big congrats to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to go a bit more on what Derek said, because Derek inspired me. He does that. So I know you guys are very, very customer obsessed, right? You can tell that by, how you speak to, in general on your social media, what I see on your website, and different aspects of your business. How it's, look at e-commerce, right? There's you guys, and then there's like 89% of the industry, and it's real. It's a very small percentage of brand owners that really give a damn about their customers, right? So you guys are here in a very short minority, and you really look at people's experiences and at customers, while the other 90% of the industry is looking at revenue and traffic and sales and Amazon and whatever. So why do you think they are not seeing what you are seeing in the relationship that you have with your customers?
That's a really good question. I think people, this is not even my line. I think it's a friend of mine, John, friend of yours, John, as well. And then he talks about the customer journey versus the company journey. And, if we're sitting here and all of us, we're a team of 6, team of 10, whatever size it is, every day you speak about how we can improve the company, right? What can we do to increase revenue, increase profit, increase sales, increase clicks, whatever department we're trying to grow, we're trying to move that needle. And oftentimes to move that needle, you need to sacrifice the customer experience. It is what it is. You want to reduce returns, make it harder to return. It's very simple. You want to increase revenue, increase your price, right? You want to increase your retention rate, drive down offer after offer every single day to someone who just bought until they buy again. There's ways to do it, right? So if you send an SMS blast every single day, and we tested this, unfortunately, you will make more money, I can promise you, but people will hate you, and stop texting me. We had a customer who bought 5 times from us. And during this test of SMSing almost every day, sent to me a text, because I usually respond to them, or I try to at least. And he said, I bought from you 5 times, and I'm never buying from you ever again, just so I never have to receive a text from you.
Ouch.
Right? And he had a good point. Like, imagine I bought 5, imagine that you bought 5 times from a company you love, and they just keep harassing you with messages, right? But the data was that we were making way more money doing this, right? So it's that whole company journey versus the customer journey. And it was really eye-opening to us to say, you know what, let's scale back a little bit, right? Because, if you know anything about us, 2018, when we first started, we were just like a $600,000 company. Then, in 2019, we scaled to like a $7 million company. And then 2020, just under a $20 million company. We've been like 2xing or 3xing every year. We're just running and sprinting. And just recently, we're just like, we need to like not scale back, but we need to slow down and take care of our people. And it's been huge. It's really been, we've stopped with the harassment. We're only providing value. And then maybe at the bottom of your value, you can go, listen, if you're interested, here's something. If you're interested, you don't need it. And your open rates go up, your sales don't skyrocket, but you have to ask yourself a question that we have to ask ourselves, just be like, what are we really chasing? You know, what are we really going after? Are we going after doubling our sales again and like, you know, being on some news article, or are we actually trying to build a connection with people for a really long time? And some of the best brands in the world have been doing it for decades. And for some reason, a lot of the smaller brands like us don't value that. You know, like Nike is never saying, buy my shoes. They're always saying, check out this amazing athlete. They were so successful. They just won a gold medal. They're not even talking about their shoes. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know about that athlete who grew up like this and went like that. And they did a whole documentary on this one athlete, had nothing to do with Nike, but you know that Nike's a part of that vision. And it's really where we're shifting our entire mindset to. Is our texts are now, I sent a text of Lior and I shirtless in Tofino, which is like a surf town in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's the first time we've ever been there. We literally sent a text, we're like, we've never been here, but this place is beautiful. So if you've never been here in Canada, you've got to come and check this out. No link, no go buy my product, no, by the way, here's 10% off. And that text converted more than any other text we've ever sent. Right? Because and the responses were crazy. We're like, I took an RV there, go visit my cousin. You should, my cousin owns a muscle thing, go eat at this restaurant. Like the responses were out of control because we were real, right? And building that connection is super, super important. And yes, it does sacrifice the short-term sales, but you know, the long-term ROI is non-measurable.
All right,
That's
I'm
true.
holding you, or I'm gonna. This is where we have to measure it. I agree completely in concept and execution on this retention focus, and I think that brand connection you just described is actually really hard to pin down for a lot of people. So like you did it right by just saying like, oh, we're in Vancouver. Why don't we share this with our, the whole company? Now, other organizations like larger ones, the marketing team couldn't pull that off because they'd have to get buy-in from the executives, and there'd be, so if the business was larger, there would be some like pushback from somebody to do something like that. But you can see, kind of the proof is it works really well. It's authentic, and it's exactly what you want to be, which is just helping your customer in a general life sense, as opposed to selling them over and over. But we need metrics. So how do you realign the organization from a metric standpoint towards retention? What new metrics are you looking at? Like open rate, is open rate now preferred over sales revenue? Like what, how do you maybe change those goals that are metrics still?
I mean, we still track everything, and we still want to see green over red every month and a bunch of different metrics. The methodology is not, let's ignore metrics. The methodology is, how do we improve those metrics from the roots, right? Instead of just doing these little tactics on the top, how do we improve it from the roots? And we know if we have more engaging content, if we dive deeper, and if we segment deeper, right? We just launched a kids blanket, and we made the mistake actually of emailing, I think it was 60,000 people who don't have children. Yeah. Right? Because improper segmenting. So it's really about the argument is not stop messaging. The argument is stop messaging people who don't want to be messaged, or message people the message that they actually want to receive. So we are tracking open rates. We are tracking sales. We are tracking repeat purchases, which are up 25% year over year. We are tracking, how often someone will buy in a year, who are most likely in our customer journey to buy again. The type of customers that see best fit. We're tracking all of that. But the idea is okay, all of that is important. We do want to improve that over time. But the idea is how can we do that without gimmicks? How can we do that without
burning through customers?
Yeah, and just destroying our list and hammering people. And I've got my junk mail. I opened it actually a couple hours ago just to look at it. And like some company emailed me 100 times in 90 days. And I'm like, at what, like, you didn't offer me anything. You just kept telling me this sale, this product's good, that product's good. If you buy this product, I'll give you that product. It's like, okay, cool. But at what, like, where's my value here? Why do I even buy? Why do I give a shit? You know, the reality is I don't. And most of our customers, as hard as it is to say, they don't give a shit about us. They don't care about our story. They want the product to solve a problem and move on. And it's important to treat everybody differently and create the content. And that's the hardest part, which is why I write on LinkedIn all the time. I think creative people are forever going to win these next 10 years. I mean, being creative is the hardest part. Finding the problem and what the issue is like diagnosing a pain is easy. Finding the proper solution, the script, that's the tough part.
I feel like there should be a magazine launch in your future. You know, like travel the world, reduce anxiety, take the blanket with you, kind of like lifestyle story type thing where your blanket is part of the journey, but you're really just helping people live their lives a little bit better. No sales at all in the magazine kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that, right? We're really just reinventing our content around just living a little bit better, right? Just like if we can help like 0.5%, we'll take it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what are the customers saying about what are the customers? What are your customers saying? How do they feel about your product and the experience with you?
Well, we just learned that actually, but we just got that retention study, and it's cool. We're noticing, for years we've been saying, we help with anxiety and insomnia, and ADHD and all these surrounding issues. And what we're noticing is that a lot of our customers, yes, they do have anxiety and insomnia, but that's not the main reason they buy the product. They buy the product because they just want to live a little better. They want a normal life. And it was eye-opening to us because we never promoted that. Live a normal life, live 1 or 2% better. We never promoted that at all. So that's really the reason why our customers are buying, and the reason why our retention rate is so high. We don't sell a consumable, right? So if you sell consumables, 25% retention rate isn't even that good. But we sell a product that the odds are you don't need to buy again. It should last. But the retention rate is high is because I have a product that works for me, but my friend, he's not doing so well, and I'll go and I'll buy one for him. And so we have a huge gifting component about our product, and people want their friends and their family and their loved ones to live a better life as well. So it's really cool to see the main needle mover for our product.
It's amazing, yeah, and I'm really, really happy that you guys, found that, and I think it pays off, and it plays actually very well in how you guys look at John lurking. He sent here, and I know his.
What's up, John?
I'm John's biggest terrorist on LinkedIn. We talk a lot. So I have a question from our sponsor, from Vitex. They sent me a message right now, and they were lurking your LinkedIn. So they asked me, how did you guys manage to sell 3,000 pillows in 130 hours?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. There's a couple secrets to it. None of it has anything to do with tactics. The secret is that we built brand for 2.5 years before that. So, those who had our product, I think it was like close to 80,000 or 100,000 people had our product already. They were enjoying it. They were engaging with us. They trusted us. And, we essentially hyped it, the standard thing to do with a new product. But the majority of those 3,000 sales, and I think there was like 2,800 pre-orders, and then we sold 200 on just like a couple ads the day of or whatever, were our existing customers. And they sat back and said, if Hush can make a blanket this good, their pillow must be good, right? And it's something that's unique about a pillow. Like, I don't remember the last time I bought a pillow before ours, but I remember you go to like a sleep store or something, and you see like a pillow wall of like 40 different pillows, and you kind of like punch like all these different pillows, and you squeeze one, and then eventually you squeeze the one you like, and then you buy that one, right? You can't do that with ours, right? You kind of just like saw a photo and you're like, I like it, and you'll buy it, right? So a majority of our sales were that people trusted us, they believed in us, they knew that if we made the first product of ours was good, that they'd trust the next product. And it's the same thing with our eye mask, right? We released an eye mask a few weeks later, and that sold, I think, not 3,000, but I think it sold like 1,000 or 1,200. And again, it's one of those things where people are just like, well, the pillow was good and the eye mask was good. The blanket was good. I'm going to get the eye mask. And that's how we really sold it. But we did make a new pillow, right? It wasn't a pillow that has ever been done before. We created our own type of foam that is microfiber, so it does stay poofy, but it does have memory foam, so it doesn't mold to your head over time. Completely adjustable, which by our research before, we surveyed a lot of our customers, and everyone was just like, I bought a pillow and it's too puffy. I bought a pillow and it's too thin. I bought a pillow and it's too hard. So we're just like, why don't we just make a pillow that you can customize exactly how you like it? So people can make it poofy and small and easy to wash. So all the pain points that we found with the pillows on the internet, if we just said if we can take care of those, then we'll have buyers.
That's awesome.
Pillows seem like a good next step. I feel like you've done a great job expanding the product line, and then you've got this recent move into the Paw Patrol blanket. What's it like partnering with a brand on a project like that? How did the conversation start? How did the deal close? Like, I mean, did you feel like you had negotiating experience or like experience in this thing, or was this just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, let's figure it out though?
Yeah, pretty much, right? We flew to Montreal in January of 2020, so it worked out just before Corona. And we met with them and kind of told them our idea, and they weren't super interested. They make hundreds of millions of dollars selling just regular $20 blankets at Walmart with the Paw Patrol labels on it, and ours is expensive and it's high end and it's niche, and they weren't super interested at all. So we came and said, we have data that shows that we sell kids blankets as it is, right? We have our in-house design. We have a spaceship and a unicorn, and they're doing quite well. So there is kids out there who want a weighted blanket in general, specifically the Hush. Wouldn't it be cool if it had the Paw Patrol design? And it took about a year, but essentially 6 months throughout, they said, you know what, let's do a trial, let's test one for a year. We were able to, they come with these minimums and stuff. We were able to negotiate our minimums down a little bit. And then they kind of just gave us the rights and they said, go for it. And they've been actually great. They designed the blanket. They give us all the marketing materials. They helped us with the box. They're very, 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 very particular on how everything needs to be done. But once we got that, we knew that we can satisfy a huge amount of our customers that are Paw Patrol fans. And and then a year later, almost exactly a year later, we launched. In the end of January, we launched, which was great.
You've only the company's relatively new, so you're making big investments, it sounds like, behind the scenes. How do you juggle all this and the growth of the company?
Yeah, I mean, we're completely bootstrapped. So it's just Lior and I. We've never taken a dollar from any bank or people or some of these new Facebook funding agencies or whatever. Yeah. We haven't done any of that. We have pretty modest lives. I mean, we don't. We're young. We don't have children yet, or we don't have a big mortgage to pay. So we keep it really, really lean. We reinvest pretty much every dollar. I think we're on year 3, and Lior and I just started paying ourselves. And we're not paying ourselves anything crazy. We reinvest a ton. We've had a huge issue, like I mentioned before, with the throws. That we've been out of stock forever. So we made a commitment.
I still call that a good problem.
Yeah, it's champagne problems, right?
Yeah.
But
no
we made
problem.
a commitment.
It's still a revenue.
We just made a commitment that we're never gonna be out of stock ever again. So we sunk a bunch of money into inventory. We haven't kept our promise. We're only about 80% in stock at any given point, which is okay. And yeah, we're investing into new products for those. There's only 160 people listening. So we're working on a mattress, which is taking like 5 months so far. I wanted to make a mattress that doesn't exist. And if you know anything about the bed in the box industry, there's a lot of mattresses that exist. So creating something completely different, surveying our customers. And yeah, we really want to dominate the sleep space because specifically in Canada, and we sell in the US and in Europe actually a little bit. But in Canada, the guys who've been crushing the sleep space are old. They've been around for a long time. Some of them 40 years. And we've spoken to them actually, and they don't know. They're moving to e-commerce, and they got no idea what they're going on. And there's a huge opportunity for us to come in and actually offer a catered experience that actually takes care of a problem for people. So that's our play, really. And we still to this day stand as the largest weighted blanket seller in the world in terms of variants. We have the most SKUs. We've got blankets from 5 pounds all the way to 35 pounds in 5-pound increments. And no one really does that. Most people offer like 15, 25, and like that's it.
So does that mean the future of Hush blankets is that you evolve into Hush Sleep, like, or Hush.com? I bet you've been looking at that.
Almost. We just bought Hush.ca, so
okay, there you go.
We'll be making that transition, I think, Monday, February 1st. Yeah. So
this is amazing. I mean, it's perfect growth, and I think for those listening, this is called the progression of the business. If you'd started with that grandiose vision of launching mattresses and pillows and all those things, you would get distracted trying to build all the products, and you wouldn't have nailed the blanket, which was the reason you were able to layer on the other things successfully. So I think
100%.
Yeah,
if I had to make any recommendation, it would be to find that one or two things that you can do really, really, really well and just win it, and then eventually build from there.
Yeah, I love that. But okay, so that's everything is great, but tell us, where did you mess up in your whole history?
How much time do we have?
Tell us a story where you messed it up badly, and how did you come out of it?
Our biggest mistake ever, we made a lot, but I would say the biggest one, at least the one that hurts me the most, wasn't even the biggest financial mistake we made. I mean, we made a big one with our Kickstarter. In short, we launched a massive Kickstarter. We sold 15,000 blankets all over the world, which was a mistake. We had no idea we didn't even have a VAT number. We couldn't get into Europe. So many mistakes. And then we trusted a shipping logistics company that we didn't vet, which is our fault. We should have vetted. We should have asked around, and they said they can do it all. Sent them all of our products, and then they sent 13,000 people A when they ordered B, and then C when they ordered D, and $1.5 million. Kickstarter, your margins essentially exactly 100% if you're lucky. So if you mess up the first order, the second one's free. We have to reship it all again, and we made $0. But that was one mistake. That was a financial one that we made. But the one that hurts us the most is in 2018, I believe. 2018, I believe, was our first Christmas. It was our first Q4 ever. So we had no idea about, like, there's Golden Week. And if you don't know about Golden Week, essentially if you order from China, if you order after September 30th, essentially you're not getting your stuff in time for Christmas. You could try, you can airship it, but I mean by sea. We had no idea. So we knew, okay, it takes 60 days to get our stuff. If we order in October, it'll arrive by Christmas. We're good, right? Because the math is there. Little did we know is that there's millions of blankets. You're not even getting on a container. So we pre-ordered. We sold out in September because we launched on Amazon prematurely and it liquidated our stock. So we went to pre-order. And we told everybody guaranteed Christmas delivery because our math made sense. 60 days, it'll arrive the first week of December. We got 2 weeks to ship it out. We're good. And we had a mass, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 back orders. And it came time for our stuff to arrive. And December 15th, I believe it was, our stuff was still on a boat. There was like some sort of typhoon or something going on. And we messed up and ended up being 6,500 people's Christmas orders. And at our price point at like 200 plus, the Hush is usually the anchor gift. It's like that or the PS3 at the time, right, or the PS4. So for us, it was like a lot of people with empty spots under the Christmas tree. I remember I hand wrote like 4,000 notes and sent out stickers and T-shirts and whatever we did and make it better. So that was our biggest mistake. And it's funny actually, because some of those customers actually bought again. But it was terrible. We had like a 45% refund rate. If people ask me all the time, why does our Better Business Bureau rating is still a 1.0? It's because of 2019. We had 4,500 people that created a Facebook group. They went together to the BBB and just littered with reviews. Rightfully so. I mean, we screwed up. So yeah, that was our biggest mistake by a mile, for sure. We underestimated what's going to happen in China for our first time.
I think that's great information for the people listening that are just starting this to order their stuff in time. And, you know, thank you for sharing that.
A mistake you won't make twice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, it's one that we order well, and also your first time delivering, going through customs and all this type of stuff is challenging. It's not as fast. They don't know who you are. So when we actually hit the border Canada on the 19th. So we're like, wow, we can express, we'll pay next day shipping, we can make this happen. Little did we know, it was our first time. So the border police were like, you're putting weighted sand in pockets and like you have 35,000 pounds worth of, we're going to start opening these things, right?
Here.
So
no one's selling that many weighted blankets. Come on now.
Exactly. So they hand inspected, which took another 2 weeks. It was terrible, but yeah.
That's crazy. You watch those Border Patrol, movies where they look like I imagine them just really looking at them. That's crazy. Well, I have one more question for you. And Derek, do you want to ask yours or should I ask mine? Mine is petty. Okay, so I wanna. It's not a question, but I would like for you to send a message to your competitors right now.
Honestly,
not only 100 people here. It's just the people on all the platforms. Send them a message.
Honestly, I love my competitors. I think we learn well. It's when we first started, we looked up to them. We watched everything they do and subscribed to all their email lists. And now it's fun to be the leader because we do something and then I see like 2 weeks later, then they do it. We change the way we send our emails. 2 weeks later, they're copying our emails. But I mean, a message to them is to keep going. I mean, I wish they all. What happened in our space was everybody was at the same price point when we first entered, and there was no real parity. And then we made a decision early on. Every single time our competitor would drop the price, we would find a way to improve the product, come out with a new product, and then we'd raise the price. And then we've done that 3 times already. We have the 2.0 now. So now that our competitors have went from, I think it was 150 we all started at, they're at like $75, and we're at that $289 plus. And we've created a huge gap. So my message is, go back on your plan and improve the product and come meet us and provide, some level of competition and content. We always say, like, why are we the only ones putting out content? Like, why don't our competitors, provide some value here? But yeah, that's
I honestly don't know another weighted blanket selling brand that's as vocal as you guys. I couldn't name one.
We spoke to one of our competitors, and he's actually a really nice guy. And he lived in my building back in Toronto, actually. And and he said we see him in the elevator all the time, and he always, every time I saw him, he'd say thank you, because he's like, you drove up the searches for weighted blankets, you made it more popular, and then people search for cheap ones, they come buy mine. I don't have to spend any money on marketing. And I'm just like, are you kidding? Like, do something. He's like, no, you do it all. I'm like, I'll just be the cheap version for the people that don't want to buy yours.
Yeah,
like, fair enough.
They get your runoff. I think that's a sign of a market leader, right? Is that you've got people capturing the runoff from your success. And
this is awesome. I really, really, really loved everything about this episode. So thank you for being here and sharing so much with us. So if people want to find you on LinkedIn, because we have an audience of startups and people that are just getting to e-commerce, where should they find you? Where's the best place? And I know you're doing a lot of rooms on Clubhouse, and John told me, and I'm mad because I cannot join them. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and I have to, people ask me if I really sleep. But I know next week you're doing one at what hour is it? Like 1 or something?
Yeah, so EST, it's 5.
Okay. So find Aaron on Clubhouse, right?
Yeah, I think, John, I think you're in that one too, and I think I added you as well. But yeah, it's 5 p.m. on Wednesday. We'll be doing a Clubhouse. It was pretty, actually, it was my first ever Clubhouse being a moderator. And it was good. I think we had a pretty good turnout, like 100 or so people. It was a good conversation. But yeah, I mean, we're always talking e-commerce if you're interested. And it was cool because our chat actually consisted of like a bunch of like e-commerce geeks, and then it was like we had 1 or 2 people that were like super like branding oriented, and like they didn't care about the metrics, and we cared about the metrics. So it was quite cool of a dynamic, both sides of the fence, right? So yeah, we'll keep chatting.
Really cool doing that. Really cool. Yeah, and I'm joining next week. I swear.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming. We just second episode of e-commerce growth stories with Aaron Spivak from Hush Blankets. Big shouts to Lior too, because I love Lior. He did me a solid one of some weeks ago. I messaged him that I love him after. He knows what I'm talking about. Probably thinks I'm crazy, but that's perfectly fine. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, Derek, for being amazing and being here with co-hosting this with me. And thank you 100 and something people that joined us today. I hope this was valuable for you. And I'll see you in the next episode with Erica Rankin from I'm gonna say she's the dough girl. That's how she calls her. And I'm super excited about that episode. So thank you, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.